Houston, say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem.
Hey there folks, and welcome you all to yet another vlog of mine. Did you miss me? Because we didn't do one last week because, well, I had nothing to talk about. That was basically all it was. I did rack my brain and I would have just been recording for the sake of recording. So here we are. I do, as it happens, have some things to talk about this very evening because I've been on with some gaming things, and not only in playing but also in buying, of which you'll have grasped an idea of from the title. So yeah, it's been a good couple of weeks actually. I've got, as you'll have seen from the channel, I've still not been doing any Let's Playing, and to be honest, it's been quite nice not doing it because it can kind of exhaust you a little bit doing it. Much as though I enjoy doing it when I'm in the zone for it, it can exhaust you a bit mentally without you even realizing it. And it kind of takes away from just sitting and enjoying a game, of which other than the horror ones that not the horror ones, the Heavy Rain and the Quantic Dream games that I played recently, I think that's probably what triggered it. I think that's probably where my brain kind of went and said, you know what, you actually really enjoy playing those games just off camera, just enjoying a game for being a game. And I think I'd kind of lost a bit of that in doing all of the Let's Plays, because inevitably I never continue games. I've talked about this before, but I never continue games or finish them, because if I'm not recording them, I feel like, well, I can't because I'm going to lose the save, or I need to wait till I'm recording it again to finish it. A bit like Resi. I still haven't finished Resi yet because I didn't want to finish it without finishing the... You know, with that game, I suppose I could do a different playthrough off camera, but I want to finish it on camera for you guys. I know there were some people looking to see the end of that. Not that many people watched that one because we are an RPG channel. Anyway, so it's been quite nice. I mean, I talked about it a few weeks back. I think in the last vlog I said that I had got into... Yeah, well, I did a cheap vlog on the fact that I was playing Dark Souls again and what were the best builds and all this sort of stuff. So that is basically what I've been on with. Now, I want to just briefly, and I'm not going to turn this into some very morbid type of vlog, but today this is an interesting subject. I find this well, not interesting, makes it sound like it's just academical or something, but that's not what I mean. I feel like with the platform that I have, I know I'm in the grand scheme of things, I'm quite a small YouTuber, but you know, I have over 4,000 people that watch this channel. And if what I am about to talk about helps any of those people, then I feel that it's something that I should share. And that's all this is. And it's been, anyone who follows the channel knows that, you know, part of this story anyway. But today is the 2nd anniversary of my mum passing away. And, well, passing away, dying, leaving this world, you know, however you want to say it. I think we're afraid to say the word dying these days. But yeah, so we lost her 2 years ago to this very day. And it's been really interesting looking sort of backwards and seeing how I was at the beginning of that loss and how I am now, or how I was in the middle of it. And it's an interesting thing that's like, it's the only loss of that level that I've ever experienced. Now, I say of that level, what I mean is you're only ever going to have, well, you're only going to have one natural mum, and if life's gone the right way there, sorry, that sounds bad actually. Well, you know what I mean. You've only got one biological mother, or you've only got one mother that's taken care of you from when you were little and you know nothing else, is what I mean. So you've only got one mother like that, who's your rock, who's the one person that you rely on. I know there's a gazillion people in this world who don't have the biological mother as their mother, but it's someone that is without doubt their mother, because they're the one that raised them and took care of them and loved them through all of their life. So, sorry, backpedaling a little bit, but that's what I mean. You've only got one of those in your world. Some people may be lucky enough to have two, but or three, but I only had one. So in my particular case, and in most people's cases, I think, you'll only have one person in your life that is that dear to you. I mean, I think maybe because much as though I loved my grandparents and stuff, I wasn't that close to my grandparents because we lived abroad and they were in Scotland and we only saw them once a year. So I never kind of got to have that close relationship with grandparents. I've seen people get really upset when grandmothers die, granddads die. And I was touched at my grand's funeral and what have you. But, you know, I didn't have that bond with her that would have made me as upset as I was with my mum. But I know a lot of people have very close relationships with their grandparents. But I am digressing a lot here. But yeah, I think that you're only ever going to lose your mum once, and you're only ever going to lose your dad once. Thank God that my dad is still with us. My mum died, it was cancer, and she fought it for 4 years. So we were lucky in the sense that we got a long time to prepare for the fact that she might not be with us anymore, and to prepare, well, to say goodbye. You know, when we were told, like, when it got to the end of that journey and we knew that the end was coming, we got the chance. No, we didn't sit there and say, this is my farewell and this is... It was just, you had the opportunity to have those little conversations with her, to say anything that was on your mind. Not that I had anything particular to say, but I just wanted little things out, you know, just to make sure she knew how I felt about her. And, you know... I guess we were lucky in that sense that we just got to have that goodbye with her. And a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people get a sudden death and they're gone and they didn't get a chance to say anything, and maybe the last words weren't the kindest, or maybe the last conversation wasn't the most pleasant, and you're sort of left maybe with haunting things, you know. But I don't really have any of that because I got the opportunity to say goodbye to her. But I never dealt, going back to where I was before I went all the way back and digressed there, people. You're only ever going to have to deal with that level of loss, I think, once. You've only got one mum of that level. And, you know, much as though you love your parents equally, I think there is something deeply impactful about losing your mum. Because, I don't know, that bond is just so strong. I can't speak for those that are adopted or those that are... You know, I don't know, but for me, the bond was just massive. As far as when she went, I just never known sadness like it. I mean, I have been in times in my life where I felt down and I went through a long time of being really depressed, you know, a long time ago, before I ever did the channel or anything like that. I went through a really long time of being quite depressed, quite down on myself, blah, blah, blah. And I felt awful at the time, but it was nothing like the sadness that I felt when my mum went. And it wasn't like a depression when mum went. It was a deep aching sadness. It was just something I'd never experienced in my whole life. And, you know, the months that followed that were basically like, I mean, I could be like, in certainly the first 4 weeks of when she went, I could just be sitting eating me dinner and there were just tears rolling down my face. Like I wasn't actually like physically sobbing, like, you know, it was just like my heart was just aching and there was just tears streaming down my face while I was eating my dinner. It was just awful. You know, and I knew it was just the grief coming out, the loss and everything else. But you know, never a truer word is said, people, that time is the greatest healer, because it absolutely is. And you're never going to fully heal and recover from something like that. But your grief fades, or, well, it doesn't fade, it changes into something else. You know, the immediate loss of not having them there, not having them there to talk to, these are all very selfish things. You know, they're you know, we are as humans quite selfish in that respect, emotionally. But once that grief passes and once you accept that they've gone, and that's different for everybody, but, you know, I mean, I couldn't even listen to music that was quite emotional. I couldn't listen to slow music. I couldn't listen to music that kind of felt emotional or had good... I mean, I kind of, for about a year and a half, I listened to nothing but heavy rock music because it was the only thing I could kind of deal with that just made me feel good about myself when I was driving about in the car. And it was nothing that kind of connected me to my mum whatsoever, because it was, you know... So, but now I can listen to all of the things that I, like Dire Straits and stuff like that, which I knew my mum loved, that I also love, that I can listen to all of that. I mean, it was silly stuff like 70s music, like 70s disco music, with which I have a classics playlist of. I couldn't listen to it for ages because that era of the 70s just reminds me of my mum when she was young and beautiful and having the time of her life. And, I can do all of that now. And I couldn't do it in that first year. In fact, the stuff that really connected you to mum has really only been the last 6 months that I could actually listen to that without feeling emotional about it. Not that it got me depressed, it was just it triggered emotion, that was all. So I've kind of, after 2 years of it, I've kind of now reached a place where I'm fundamentally happy thinking about her without this inner awful sadness that was there before. You still always, you were going to have this little ache that just wishes they were here. Of course you are. There's no getting around that. But it isn't a painful experience. It's nice now that I can sit and think about all of the fond memories that I had with her. I can look at pictures of her. I've got pictures. I mean, I have finally put some pictures out of her because when I got the house and stuff, I hadn't put any pictures up for ages. And then I had all these pictures I wanted to put up of, well, a few around the upstairs really, but there's a picture of her holding my son Aaron when he's a baby. I've got that sitting where I get changed and stuff in the morning, so I always kind of see her when I'm starting my day and when I'm going to bed. But I couldn't have put those pictures up in the first year because it just kind of made me feel the emotions were still too raw. So I'm actually, for those people who have had to deal with this, and I know for a fact that there are 2 or 3 people that have mentioned loss recently through either Twitter or elsewhere that connect with me on the channel or in other means, have lost people. And it's really just to say that I know it's quite raw for some of those people just now, but please believe me that time will just make that pain ease so dramatically you won't believe it. And you will get to a point where you can think about them and remember them and enjoy telling stories about them and remembering the funny stuff and the loving stuff without that horrible, awful ache. So, stick with it. It does get easier. And that's basically the reason I wanted to talk about it. Because I've had a day where I don't make a monument out of dates. I don't make an occasion out of dates. Like I said from the beginning to my dad and stuff, like I'm not going to make some big occasion of mum's death day or mum's birthday, or because you lead yourself into building up for a sad day. It's like you don't want to do that because, So what I did today was really, just so that me and my dad got some time together and we talked about her a little bit. But we went for a nice lunch today at lunchtime, just popped out of the local here and we had a bite to eat for lunchtime and had a good chat and a little bit of a giggle, and we came back. So we kept it all upbeat and it was nice, and we had family, as 2 members of the family together. And that's what I try and do with it. So, as time goes on, I don't want to have monumental things that were supposed to be sad today because of this reason. It's like, that's not what my mum would have wanted. It's not what I want. And it's not healthy, in my opinion. So, And really, the best thing that happens to me now is, whenever I do get down or a bit lonely or, it's actually her that tends to inspire me. Like, I would always have this thought of like, oh, what would mum tell me to do, or what would mum do herself if she was feeling like this? And that's what inspires me to go swimming, to go running, to get out. If I've been on my own a lot through the week, get out and go for a run around the park, to get around people, all that sort of stuff. It's her, it's memories of her and what she was like and what she would say to me if she was here, like, you know what I mean? And that's anyway, that's where I am now. I hope that little story there of 10 minutes or so. Jesus, 15 minutes. I'm sorry, people. We are a gaming channel. I've gone on for 15 minutes. But anyway. So yes, I hope that's been of help to somebody who may well be going through the same thing. I know there's a few of you out there that are. And I hope that kind of helps you just to know that it's going to get a lot easier in time. And you will get to a point where you can remember them and think about them and listen to your music again and all these things without feeling that horrible loss. So be strong, keep going. It does get easier. It's just time. Right, now that we have all that, Flaggins Up to you all, by the way. It is Flaggins Up Friday after all. F you, everybody. Yay! Before we get going about games, I'm going to have a little sip of this. You know I'd buy you one. If I could, people, you know I would. You know how giving I am. Right, we have a few things to talk about. Firstly, Dark Souls again, because much as though I had a blast of it, then I left it a bit, and then I went back to it. I've carried on with the gameplay. It's been a funny journey actually, because anyone who watched the playthroughs that I've done on the channel know that I haven't finished. I got the 360 back compat one, just to recap really briefly. The 360 back compat playthrough that I did, I got to Anor Londo, did the secret painting in Anor Londo, and sort of half of Anor Londo, and then I didn't finish it. And then I thought, with the remasters coming, I'll stop and I'll do a remaster playthrough. And I got to the bottom of Blighttown, fought tried to fight the spider demon, whatever she's called, Lady Helzing or something. I don't know. But Spider Lady, quite sexy Spider Lady, to be fair. If you concentrate on her top half and don't look at the spidery bits, she's quite tidy. I've got some mad fantasies going on. Maybe. It's all about those eggs, people. Moving swiftly on. Yeah, and I struggled with it, and I was like, oh, you know, even though I'd beaten her in the 360 playthrough, but I remember the 360 playthrough when I had to fight her a few times. Anyway, I remember we wandered up in that playthrough, ended up somewhere else, and then I never went back to it. And that save is still there. This playthrough that I'm doing is a brand new playthrough with a whole new character. And I got to, yesterday, I got to, I think the last time I spoke about this, I was doing all right. Well, anyway, I can't remember what I've talked about. So basically, this playthrough has been brilliant. And I kind of started as a pyromancer so that I had my flame ability straight away. Well, within a number of minutes, because you pick the pyromancy glove up sort of in the asylum as you're going round. But the ability's there from the beginning. You pick the glove up, that's you got that job done. You just have to bear with the fact that you're starting with an axe and gowns. But that was fine. I soon found a sword, and, you know, I always go for the claymore anyway, which people know. Now, that was advised to me by Jason and King Rat and Sir Robert and all sorts of people. I realise it's not the best sword in the game. We did have a poll on that, actually. And I think a Moonlit sword was the one that showed up. We might check that during the vlog. But we, yeah, so I started with that build and then defeated the first boss first time, no problem. Came out of the asylum, defeated the... What did I do first? I feel like I'm missing a boss. But anyway, I didn't do the gargoyles first. I went to the forest and fought behind the blacksmith and fought the butterfly woman. And then I went to the gargoyles and did the gargoyles around the bell and blah. I know what I'm talking about. You've got the guy on the bridge for a start off. Sorry, I've skipped a whole bunch there. Yeah, so I did the guy on the bridge that you run onto the long, because that's how you get to where the dragon is, isn't it? Beat him first time, no problem. Yeah, then I got to where the dragon is, had that whole hoo-ha trying to get the claymore, because for some reason the dragon wouldn't jump down, which I think I talked about in the last one. Then I, from there, headed toward the... Pretty sure that's when I headed toward the blacksmith. Got to the blacksmith, fought the butterfly lady in the forest, and then from there came back and went to do the gargoyle bits. And the gargoyles, I destroyed them. The butterfly lady, funnily enough, it took me 2 attempts, because the key to defeating her, in my opinion, is dodging her when she shoots the magical stuff down at you. You've got to be able to dodge it, and I was getting my timing all wrong. And then on the second one, I'd kind of sussed it, and I beat her no problem. I had loads of stuff left. And the gargoyles, I destroyed them. I summoned Sir Knight of Light or Fire, whatever his name is, Sir Sunlight. What's his name? I summoned him with me, and we walked into the gargoyle fight. Honest to God, I kid you not, I must have defeated them within 30 to 40 seconds. They were done. Like, they were absolutely hammered them. Couldn't believe how quick it was. So that was the first bell rung, and then I think the boss fight after that's the Vagina Dragon, isn't it? That's its official name, people. Whew, I'm getting thirsty. So yeah, and I at this point I was chatting away to my son Aaron, because I think I've mentioned this before, but he's been playing through it on the Switch and he's completed it now. And so he's been texting me constantly about, this, that, and the next thing because I'm playing through it again. And I'd said to him, I was like, the old Vagina Demon, it's well easy, the Vagina Demon. You just go in and it's got a pattern, you just watch for it, you run up to it, smack it, run away. And, jobs are good. And I run down to that fight. I kid you not, when I started trying to defeat that fecking thing, must have been about 14 bloody, what do you call them, Humanity? No, that's not true. It took me about 6 attempts, so I started with about 10 humanities and I ended up with 4 by the time I'd left. But it was, honestly, I threw my controller across the carpet. One of them, because I was this close to beating her or something. I can't remember what. Oh no, it was I had full health and a tail swing killed me in one hit. I was like, and it was because I didn't put my shield up. But anyway, again, it was a case of the second to last time I'd beaten her, I'd kind of sussed it and I died for a silly reason. So when I went in the last time, when I finally beat the demon, this pattern, if you just keep running around, dodging it, wait for it to munch the floor, smash it around a bit, run away again, wait for it to munch the floor. It's not quite as dramatic as I've made that out, but oh my God, it was painful. Been a while since I did it though. And so we left there and, and in that conversation with my son, because I told him how easy it was, I was like, the one I always struggle with is the feckin' fire spider lady. And I got to Blighttown and it was, honest to God, it was just the easiest thing. I just breezed it all the way down to the bottom, and right at the bottom of there's like a wooden path that then winds down to the sandy bit and takes you to the cave where the bonfire is. It's the very first time you see one of those spider-breathing spidery things. And I looked forward and I saw this spidery fire thing ahead, and I looked to the side of me and I was like, well, I can just run down the sand because the fire's over there. And I literally, I stepped off the ledge and it just went, boom, you've died. And I had full health and I was like, what the? And I was raging. I was like, I can't do this tonight. And I think I finally... Yeah, I finally, what I did was I think I tried again and I was like, I need to do it tomorrow because it was quite late and I was just rushing it. So, but I was furious because I was like, it's a fucking ramp of sand. Why have I died? But when I did it this following day and did it again, I did it first time the following day, all the way down to the bottom. Dead easy. I had bloody 10 flasks left, I think. And I got to the bottom, the same ramp bit, and I was like, doesn't look that bad. But anyway, I ran forward, beat a couple of the spiders, but when I turned round, it was like a fecking cliff. It wasn't quite the little ramp of sand I thought it was. So to be fair to the game, it was me rather than the game. But we all knew that, people, before I started telling the story. So anyway, we got to there, we got into the fire, and I spent a really long time running around the bottom of Blighttown, and if it's still called Blighttown at that point, I think it is. And then I went to the massive tree. I milked that area for all it was worth. It was a good run around, actually. Found, all sorts of armor and stuff. And I remembered from the advice that people had given me on the 360 playthrough that there were secret passages in the tree, and which led to a secret place. And that tree, if you smash through it, you end up in I'm forgetting the name of it, but you end up in an area that's actually the tree going all the way down these routes. And then if you get to the bottom of that, which I managed to, you then end up in a place that I'd never been to before. I think it was called Ash Lake. And there's a bonfire down there, and I was like, I'm not resting at that because I don't know if I can make it back up that tree. Because at this point, my last bonfire was at the top of the tree, and I wanted to go and hit beat up the spider lady. So what I did was I lit the fire, but I didn't sit at it, and I basically legged it across the beach. Because down there, there's this massive, multi-headed sort of water monster. So I managed to get one pickup on the beach, and then the monster flew over me, which I wasn't expecting, covered me in water. And I was like, oh shit, panicked, sprinted for a sand dune, thinking I was just going to run over the other side of it. But the other side of the sand dune was just a cliff edge into the water, so I died. But that took me back up to the bonfire at the very top of the tree, which just takes you back out to the bottom of Blighttown. Went into the Fire Lady fight. I was all psyched up. I was like, right, come on, you know, because it's my fucking nemesis, that thing. And I walked in and I summoned it's the one that invades you in that area, and I beat her no problem. Can't remember her name. Is it Helga or something? And I summoned, we'll call her Helga. I summoned Helga on the way in. I was like, come on, Helga, do better than old Sunlight Sundance did in the bloody vagina fight, because he was awful. And she was a beast. I mean, she was like, initially when I ran in, I was like, shit, the spider is not even looking at her. And I was sprinting around the side of it, got around the back and just locked onto the spider. And I was like, I don't know where Helga had gone. Like, there was nothing happening with her. And then she flashed up. I was like, oh no, there she is. And I saw her getting hit a few times. And then the spider just completely turned to me and came at me, and I couldn't see Helga on the screen at all. I was like, oh no, she's died already. At which point I thought, well, she couldn't have done, because it normally comes up on the screen, but in the panic, people, in the moment. So I'm doing my usual dance with this spider, giving it a smack, and then Helga comes charging back in again, and she went for it. I mean, she took all of the onus off of me, and I was smacking this thing to death. By this point, my claymore has leveled up to, I think I was at that point, it was +5. I was on +5. And because I've now upped it to +7 since the fight. But I was on +5 on my claymore. So I was taking a lot of damage off. But Helga was a beast. She still had 3/4 of her health left by the end of the fight. She was doing awesome. So we annihilated that thing. I don't know what I was worried about, people. It was dead easy. So there we are. So I did that. I ran back up. To get out, you have to go back up where the water wheel is. There's a massive sort of route out. In doing all of that, I found the crimson armor, crimson robes, I think they're called. And then I found the dingy robes on the way up to Firelink Shrine. Obviously, Firelink Shrine is then closed, which is a bit annoying. I'll tell you one thing, though. Where the Spider Lady is, if you don't know this, there's a secret door behind there where you run through. There is a secret wall there if you smash it. And in fact, to tell you where it is, it's like if you go through I'm trying to see it in my head now. Yeah, you pull the lever, you go through the door to pull the lever to ring the last bell, and go down some stairs where there's a big disc in the floor. And if you smack the wall, but I think it was the wall behind that, if you smack the wall behind that, there's another spidery person in the wall, and she is capable of powering up your Estus flasks, just like the Firelink Shrine Lady is, because the Firelink Shrine Lady is now no longer there. The downside to that is I didn't get another, what's it called? Firekeeper's something or other. The thing you need to upgrade the Estus flask. I didn't have one when I was there, and I found one, I think, when I was 3/4 of the way up. Because I was chatting to Craigie Boy at the time, and he said, oh, by the way, there's a Firekeeper's Blah in the... Yeah, it was in the, what he calls the swimming pool bit. It's a bit of a sewer, I think. And there's an upgrade for your Estus flask in there, and I picked it up, and I was like, I cannot go all the way down there again just to upgrade this thing. But I knew getting to the top that the Firelink Lady is gone. The minute you ring that second bell, the Firelink Lady's fire's gone. The fire's gone out, and she's vanished. And apparently there's a whole story there to get her back and stuff. Anyway, done all of that. Couldn't rest at that fire, so went to the bonfire. Did loads of stuff at the blacksmith. I think I bought the thing where you can level your weapon up at the bonfire, and also bought the thing where you can repair at the bonfire, so I don't have to keep going back to him. What you can't do with that level up thing, though, when you get to +5, you need to modify it. Then you can start upgrading it again. You can't modify with that thing at the bonfire, so you do have to go back to somebody at him or another blacksmith. But anyway, so there we are, and I've ended up with a little bit of a combination of the gargoyle helm, and the dingy kit is actually awesome. Like all of my resistances are over 100 by the combination that I've got on. So I've just put all of that on, Sens is open, so my first protocol now is to go back to the asylum and get the curious doll, peculiar doll, and that gets you into the secret area in Anor Londo. Because when you get to the end of Sens, as we know or don't, that takes you to. Sens flies you off to Anor Londo, and that's where you need the curious doll. So you get better doing that first. And to get that, you need to go back to the asylum you started in at the very beginning of the game, defeat another version of that boss, and it's lying around in there somewhere. So that's my next step. But I'm absolutely loving the playthrough. I was well on with it last night. I was half tempted to do a bit tonight, but a couple of these and Dark Souls is not a good idea. Or maybe a couple of these and stream Dark Souls is a good idea. You guys would love it. So there you are. So that's what I've been up to. It's all I've been playing. And, at some point I will get back to doing a bit of recording. But at the moment, I think, as I said in the last vlog, I'm really happy just doing the vlogs when I have something good to talk about. And I'll come back to the Let's Plays when I've got the real buzz for it. So there you are. So there's my Dark Souls story at the moment. I'll keep you updated on that. So the other thing that's been going on this week is that, well, Gears 5 is almost dropping, and Control came out and got really good reviews. Now, I talked about Control before, saying I wanted to see more of it, and I wanted to see how it fared with the critics and stuff, and it's got nothing but massive praise. And by far the best way to play it is on the X. The performance on the X it outweighs any of the other 3 consoles. So I was kind of tempted with it, and then was like, I'll because I knew I had to buy Gears, you see, so I didn't want to buy 2 AAA titles in the same sort of pay month. Not that I can't. It's just I don't want to be silly with my cash. And anyway, so I eventually ordered Gears about a week ago, Gears 5. I got a deal about 37.85 or something on Shop 2. And that was like a great deal because, AAA titles are generally 45, 50 quid or whatever now. And was more than happy with that until I realised that I'd forgotten that if you got it on... Well, I'd forgotten that the AAA titles or that are exclusives on Microsoft hit the Game Pass immediately, which means you don't have to buy the game, you just have to buy Game Pass. Now, I do like having a physical copy of something that's got a story on it, to be fair, but, you're as easy buying Game Pass for a month and playing that until you see whether or not it's going to have some longevity, and then buying the game at half price when it's a bit cheaper, or, Anyway, the way it worked out was, and this is, if you don't know about this little trick you can do with Microsoft, if you've got gold, like a year's worth of gold, and you buy at the moment you can buy Game Pass Ultimate for £2, and it's 2 months of it. But what it does is it upgrades all of your gold membership and adds on the 2 months to all being Ultimate. So you've then got all of the Ultimate games for your 12 months, well, it'll be 14 months, because I'll add the other 2 on as well. So it's a cracking way. I mean, my mates, like Craigie Boy and his brother and stuff, they've all done like 2 or 3 years worth, because it was like 70 quid for 2 years and 80 quid for 3 years for full-on Ultimate, So go looking for a great gold deal, Xbox Live Gold, implement that, and then go and get the £2 Ultimate deal, and it'll upgrade the entire thing to Ultimate Game Pass for the duration of whatever your gold was, plus 2 months. Now, in the end, what I did was, and funnily enough, I think Craigie Boy went to do it today and he couldn't find it. It had come off the offer. Wednesday it was. I went onto the Microsoft store to see what their prices were for gold, and the 3 months gold was £6.99 instead of £17.99 that was on offer. So I bought because I don't know whether I'm going to need gold for a huge amount of time. So I got the 3 months gold for £6.99. Bought the the £2 Ultimate Game Pass, which adds another 2 months onto it, and that's me got 5 months worth of full-on Game Pass. And I don't have to buy anything now until the end of January. And that'll do, because the only thing I'm going to be playing online on the Xbox at the moment is Gears 5 with John, Craigie Boy, Craigie Boy's brother John. Johnny Boy, should we call him? And possibly Paul, who's another mate. So, you know, and it's whether or not there's more than 5 months longevity in that. You know, it could be that we all kind of grow a bit tired of it and we don't play it after that, in which case I don't need gold because it's the only thing I need it for. The only other thing I play online that's kind of reliant on it is Destiny, and that's on the PS4, my Destiny. So, you know, it's a different place. It's a whole new world. You're welcome. So there was that. So, yeah, so that led me to... I was like, oh, shit, well, I've now got Gears 5 for feck all, because I've got my $8.99 Ultimate Game Pass, and I'm going to get that. Not only do I get it free because it's on the Game Pass, it also comes out 4 days earlier if you've got Game Pass. So I'm now getting it on the 6th instead of the 10th. But I'm now left, because I prepaid for my Shop 2 purchase, I couldn't get a refund on Gears 5. So what I did in the end was I went onto my account and it said remove pre-order, it said. So I didn't know what it was going to do. I just hit the remove thing and it vanished. And I was like, well, what did that do? It didn't tell me anything. It just removed it. And I thought, well, has it refunded me or what's it done? So anyway, when I looked about, I realised what it had done is it had credited my Shop 2 account with the £37.85 or whatever it was that I'd paid. And I was like, well, that's fine, because in the back of my head, I thought if I can get an exchange, I'll get Control. And sure enough, it was crediting my account, so I just threw the money at Control. Control was £2 more, so that was all. But it was on back order. It was completely sold out for the Xbox, so I'm just waiting for that to come. But I'm not in any massive rush to play it, so I might. If you guys want to see a bit of Control, I might think about throwing a few episodes up. But I'm really keen on playing that game. I was a massive Alan Wake fan. Quantum Break didn't quite do it for me. And I'm hoping that without all that silly TV stuff and all that they did in Quantum Break, that, you know, it sounds from what I've been reading that they've kind of taken what they were trying to do with Quantum Break and they've just made it amazing. So I'm really excited for it. So that is on its way. So I've now got 2 games for the price of 1, really, because of Ultimate Game Pass. So yeah, looking forward to those coming. And that has been my week, people. I'm not sure that I have anything else to talk about. So I'm going to have a drink. But yeah, I do miss Alan Wake. I was listening to an interview with Sam Lake, who's the head guy at Remedy. And, well, he was talking about lots of things. And they asked him, you know, are you still wanting to revisit Alan Wake and give us Alan Wake 2? And he's absolutely wanting to do it. I mean, he's like, absolutely. It's all, he said, in this industry, it's all about timing. It's all about having the story that you want to tell. He said, you know, to be honest, he goes, I think he said he kind of had the ideas already. Some of the ideas have been thrown into other games from a gameplay perspective, but the ideas he's had story-wise, you can tell they're there. You can tell where he wants to go with Alan Wake, and it's just a matter of getting the timing right, I think, and the investment and stuff. So here's hoping, because it was a bit of a cult classic, and it took it a long time, but it did eventually surpass 1 million sales. But I think because it was an Xbox exclusive, and I think because it didn't really get an awful lot of hype at the time, I discovered it well after the event, much like I did with Dead Space and stuff. But you know, but that was the nature of where I was at gaming at the time, you know. So yeah, here's hoping that we might see Alan Wake 2 at some point. It does sound like we will, if Sam Lake's got anything to do with it. So there you are. That's it, people. I think I shall wrap things up there. I'm done. I'm through with you. Be gone. Well, you know, it's been nice. I've been talking for 40 minutes. You must be fed up with me by now. Flaggers up to you all once again. Hopefully there'll be, to be honest, I mean, it's a bit of a piss take, really, because, you know, Gamescom and everything happened over the space of time I'm saying there was nothing to talk about. Gamescom happened, but honestly, I didn't even watch anything, look at anything. I mean, the only things I know about is because I might have seen a few things on YouTube or. But I don't. Certainly, nothing massive slapped me in the face when I saw things. So it kind of passed me by a little bit. So it is a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit cheeky to say that there was no gaming stuff happened over, you know, over the last couple of weeks, and hence there was no vlog. But it was just that I didn't see anything that slapped me in the face to get excited about. So, you know. And we like to have these chats when I'm excited, people. There's no point when I'm bored. Anyway, on that note, I hope you've had a good time and enjoyed spending some time with me this very evening. It has been an honour and a privilege serving for you once again in this vlog of mine, and I shall see you all next time. Take it easy, folks. Bye.